Hi, Ryan from Prima Coffee here, and behind me is the coveted Slayer single group espresso machine. Today we're going to discuss one of its most important concepts, and that is pressure versus flow. So in terms of its extraction process, Slayer's approach is really unique. Instead of offering direct control over pressure during the course of a brew cycle, Slayer's internal gear pump actually operates at full pressure during both its pre-infusion and full infusion stages. Now, the secret to this can be found here under the hood. So in my hand here is the adjustment knob for what's called a needle valve. A needle valve allows precise regulation of flow through the adjustment of a threaded needle-like shaft that works to create restriction and moderate pressure. Now here's an example of a needle valve. This is very different than the one that's found in the Slayer, but we were actually able to cut this in half to give you an idea of the mechanics. So as you can see, that center shaft moves either up or down to either increase or decrease flow restriction. So what is the relationship between pressure and flow? Well, to put it simply, pressure is the continuous application of physical force, in this case the pump. Flow being the actual movement of water. Now, the initial pressure that reaches the coffee varies based on the amount of restriction created for the water prior to it entering the brew chamber. In this case, the majority of the initial pressure created by the pump is applied at the needle valve. And it's the minimized flow through the very small orifice of Slayer's valve that slowly fills the brew chamber, resulting in a low pressure introduction of water to the puck. So I've got a back flush disc in here, and what we're going to do is allow the machine to run in its pre-infusion stage, and we're going to watch the pressure gauge. So even though the pump is currently operating at 9 bars, you can see that the pressure is very slowly ramping. Now, as I allow this machine to run in its pre-infusion stage long enough for the water to fill the brew chamber, you'll notice that the pressure will actually eventually get up to 9 bars and equalize. So to help give you a better understanding of how flow restriction works to moderate pressure, our local fire department is here to help with a quick demonstration. So here we have 2 hoses, both operating under the same pressure, but each has a different size nozzle. We're going to find out if these fill their barrel at different rates. Ready, guys? Go! Operating under the same pressure, the barrel under the wider hose filled first. This is exactly what Slayer's gauge told us about the pressure inside its brew chamber during pre-infusion. The pressure applied to the inside of this barrel increased slowly as a result of the decreased flow rate caused by additional restriction in the water line. So what is the difference between a Slayer and a pressure profiling machine anyways? So most machines will kick on at full pressure. Extraction will last about 25 to 30 seconds. Some machines offer variable pressure, but typically begin with waterline pressure, and pre-infusion then will last about 5 to 7 seconds. Now, Slayer is not a pressure profiling machine, but instead allows 3 stages of flow, which are centered around the ability to enhance and extend the pre-infusion process as desired. Now, I also think it's worth noting that both Slayer and pressure profiling machines approach flavor profiling through the same basic medium, and that is variable flow, or in more familiar terms, agitation. Variability of flow in Slayer's pre-infusion stage is the machine's most defining attribute and has some major implications. So why is this important? Well, first we find that the gentle introduction of water results in a full, more even saturation of the puck. Decreased water flow, consequently, works to minimize the initial introduction of pressure, creating a soft ramping effect, which we saw, which aids in saturation and allows us to extend pre-infusion anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds as desired. With complete saturation comes greatly improved water flow through the puck and the ability to grind substantially finer, which will increase the body of espresso. Advanced brewing concepts teach us that the process of extraction is non-linear, meaning that through controlled manipulation of brewing factors, like agitation, specific flavor characteristics can actually be targeted and accentuated along the way. And it's the combination of Slayer's variable flow and 3-stage brew process that give it an enormous amount of versatility in terms of flavor profiling. So I hope that lends some understanding to the inner workings of this machine and what it is that makes the Slayer so unique. Thanks for watching.